I'm going to call to order the regular Housing and Redevelopment Authority meeting of June 25th. It is 7:03, and Administrative Assistant Dubois, can you please take attendance?
Yes, thank you. Chair Supple.
Here.
Commissioner Elliott.
Here.
Commissioner Reagan Gonzalez.
Here.
Commissioner Vreese Daniels.
Here.
And Commissioner Sandal. I can see Commissioner Sandal is present, but it looks like she's having some bandwidth issues. All members are present.
All right, thank you. Next, we'll move on to open forum. Has anyone called in for open forum?
Chair Supple, no, we did not have anybody contact us for tonight's open forum.
All right, thank you. Next, we're going to move on to approval of the minutes of the regular Housing and Redevelopment Authority meeting of May 18th, 2020.
So moved, Commissioner Reagan Gonzalez.
Second, Aaron Vreese Daniels.
All right, it's been moved by Commissioner Reagan Gonzalez and seconded by Commissioner Aaron Vreese Daniels. Is there anyone who would like to make a comment? Okay, then Administrative Assistant Dubois, can you call the roll?
Yes, Chair Supple.
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott.
Aye.
Commissioner Reagan Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Vreese Daniels.
Aye.
And Commissioner Sandal.
I didn't hear what the,
You're voting on
we
the
just take
minutes.
attendance.
Well, we already took attendance, and so we're approving the minutes for the HRA meeting from May 18th.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. We have 5 yeses.
Thank you. Next, we're going to move on to approval of the agenda. All right, Commissioner Vreese Daniels.
Of the agenda.
Second,
All right,
Commissioner Reagan Gonzalez.
Second.
all right, thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Vreese Daniels and seconded by Reagan Gonzalez to approve the agenda. Is there any comment? All right, then can you please take the roll? Thank you.
Yes, Chair Supple.
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott. I'm sorry, Commissioner Elliott.
Aye.
Thank you. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Vreese Daniels.
Aye.
And Commissioner Sandal.
Aye.
Thank you. We have 5 ayes.
Thank you. Moving on, we are at the consent agenda. Executive Director Stark.
Thank you, Chair Supple. The consent calendar contains several separate items which are acted upon by the HRA in one motion. Once the consent calendar has been approved, the individual items and recommended actions have also been approved, and no further action would be necessary. Tonight, we only have one item on the consent agenda, and that is consideration of a change to the Richfield HRA administrative plan to conduct biennial inspections for units under the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program. And I would just say that that's us modifying our inspection process in light of COVID concerns. And that concludes the consent agenda.
I move the consent agenda.
Second, Commissioner Reagan Gonzalez.
All right, so we've had a motion by Commissioner Sandal and a second by Commissioner Regan Gonzalez to approve the consent agenda. Are there any questions? All right, then we'll take the roll call vote on that. Administrative Assistant Dubois?
Okay, Chair Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott,
Aye.
Commissioner Reagan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Freeze Daniels,
Aye.
and Commissioner Sandal.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item of business is consideration of an amendment to the guidelines for the Apartment Improvement Grant Program to allow duplexes as eligible properties. Executive Director Stark?
Thank you, Chair Supple. This item, like the 2 other items after it, are all going to be presented by Housing Manager Julie Urban. So I'll just pass it along to her.
Thank you. Chair Supple, members of the commission. This first item has to do with our Apartment Improvement Grant Program. Back in 2019, the HRA received a grant of $100,000 from Affordable Suburban Housing to use toward affordable housing efforts in the community. And we chose to create the Apartment Improvement Grant with the funds. The way the program operates right now is that we provide financial resources to improve existing affordable apartments. They're grants that are targeted at small rental buildings between 4 and 14 units, and it's to make improvements to units that are currently occupied by tenants while maintaining affordable rents. We provide grants of up to $5,000 per unit to units where a tenant has lived there for 5 or more years. The owner then provides a 60% match and commits to maintaining the affordability level for at least 5 years. So currently we restrict that to those buildings between 4 and 14 units and to those that charge rents affordable to households earning 50% of the area median income. We are suggesting, staff is suggesting that we make a slight modification to the program to allow duplexes to apply to the program. We have a number of duplexes where 1 or both of the units provide rental housing, and these are an opportunity to provide larger rental opportunities in the community. And in many cases, these owners do work with our Housing Choice Voucher Program, and as well as other rental subsidy programs to provide subsidized rental housing for low-income households. So we're suggesting that we would like to see the program expanded to allow duplexes to be eligible for the program, as long as that duplex is a participant in a rent assistance program. So instead of suggesting it's for long-term tenants, it would be for units that serve our tenants in Housing Choice Voucher or other rent assistance programs. There are a limited number of rental properties in town that are willing to participate in those programs, and so this offers an opportunity to adds an added incentive to those owners who are willing to participate in the program. So there is about $53,000 remaining of the original $100,000 grant, so it's an opportunity. We have 1 duplex owner who is interested in making improvements to both of their units with the funds. So with that, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Commissioner Freeze Daniels?
Do we have any triplexes?
Director Stark asked the same question. I said, well, we maybe have 1 or 2. It didn't seem, since we don't have that much money left, it didn't seem worth expanding to triplexes. And we don't have any that participate currently in our Housing Choice Voucher Program. So chances are the money would be gone before I was able to sort of rustle up business from a couple of triplexes in town.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're not like leaving this weird gap between 2 and 4. So, okay, thank you.
If it was an ongoing program, I'd say, sure, let's throw them in just in case. But I think there are maybe 2, maybe 3.
Okay.
So can you speak to that? You're saying it's not an ongoing program. Is it for a temporary amount of time?
Right. This is just the $100,000 grant we received. We have a separate remodeling program that EDA funds, and we would hope to continue that. But this was just this money that sort of dropped in our lap, and we were able to do this important thing. I don't remember, but the affordable suburban housing was run by a man named Bill Schatzline, and Richfield was near and dear to his heart. And so he had passed away several years ago, and his family really wanted to see the money come to Richfield. So
Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation to add duplexes with the additional constraints.
Second. Sue Sandall, second.
All right, so it's been moved by Commissioner Freeze Daniels and seconded by Commissioner Sandal to approve the amendment to the guidelines for the apartment improvement program to allow duplexes as eligible properties. Is there any further discussion? All right, Administrative Assistant Dubois, if you could please take the roll.
Yes. Chair Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott,
Aye.
Commissioner Reagan Gonzalez, Commissioner Freeze Daniels,
Aye.
and Commissioner Sandal.
I remember Bill Schatzline well, and I'm happy to vote yes.
All right, thank you. We have 5 ayes.
Thank you. Then we'll move on to consideration of a master amendment to the mortgage promissory note and loan agreement with Aon Seasons Parks and a subordination of the mortgage. And I believe we should go straight to Housing Manager Urban, so go ahead.
thank you, Chair Supple, members of the commission. Back in 2017, the HRA provided financial assistance to Aon to assist them in purchasing and preserving the naturally occurring affordable housing complex Seasons Park. The $50,000 in assistance from the city made the complex eligible for the 4D special tax classification, which helps to maintain affordability. After closing on the property, Aon determined that the complex needed significantly more improvements than were originally anticipated. They were unable to identify sufficient resources to pay for the needed repairs and improvements until last year, when Minnesota Housing agreed to refinance the existing mortgage and allow Aon to cash out the funds needed for rehabbing the property. The underwriting process is finally complete, and closing on the new mortgage is scheduled for mid-July. A condition of the refinance is that all mortgages on the property have the same term as the principal, which is 35 years. With the refinance, and just to correct a mistake here, it's actually $8 million will be available to make improvements to the property. Security upgrades, critical drainage improvements, repair of driveway and parking lot areas, unit renovations, including flooring, appliances, and bath and fixture replacements. And loan agreement that we have with Aon Seasons Park, and it will extend that current term from 2047 to 2055. In addition, the HRA is being asked to subordinate its mortgage to the principal mortgage. Master amendment is in the process of being reviewed by Minnesota Housing. I think it has since the review has since finished, but what you are looking at were the first documents. But so we're just asking you also to just give the HRA attorney the authority to finalize those documents with Minnesota Housing underwriters. And the same would go for the subordination in the event there are any changes to that. So with that, if you have any questions for me on the technical piece, otherwise Sarah Harris from Aon is on the call here today. If you have any questions for her about the refinance and the improvements at Seasons Park.
Are there any questions? I did have one comment that I think it's really great that you're going to be able to improve the quality and fix some things up, because I know that was a concern, and it was really great that you found the financing, because I think people deserve to live in quality housing. And so I'm happy that you're able to fix some stuff up. Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Reagan Gonzalez?
I'll just echo the same sentiment. I know Aon has been working on this for quite a while and making this happen. And I know it's been a long and bumpy road for all of us, but these issues are so complex, and putting this in reinvestment into our affordable housing at Seasons Park is so important. We have so many kids, so many families there, and that is really crucial housing. So I am very excited to see this as well.
Commissioner Elliott, were you raising your hand?
I was. Back when Ann first took it over, and I remember going to meetings over at their community room, and it was a dire need to get sufficient funds to take care of some of the longstanding problems with the water damage, the security, and a lot of other things. So I think it's laudable, and I'm glad that it finally came to fruition. The one thing I'm wondering about, and this may be addressed to Julie or John, is the mortgage that we've got subordinated to everything else now. And I looked at the documents, and it looks like there's no interest accruing, there's no payments been made on it. Just for the interest of transparency, particularly given over the next couple of years, given COVID and what's been going on and everything, that we're going to be, I'm assuming, I'm not on the city council, so I don't see it, but I'm assuming the budget's going to be pretty tight the next couple of years. We need to acknowledge to the public and everything that what we did was the $150,000 was essential early on to kickstart it and help Ann get going. But the reality is we're never going to get that money back. And I'm wondering if we shouldn't let the public know that.
Well, it is technically due and payable upon maturity, so we're pushing that off with this refinance, certainly. We also have a provision in there that says we could choose to extend that term, and I think it would probably be typical if we want to extend the affordability that we would keep pushing that out. I think that's
what transparency is all about.
Yep. Right. So yes, you are right. Then that is, it is unlikely that we get that back. It was an investment in maintaining the affordability.
I'm just thinking at some point in time we ought to acknowledge that, and it's for a good purpose. So I think it's not like we're doing a mea culpa, because we would do the same thing if the same situation was presented. I'm just saying it's $150,000, which is a significant amount of money, and we should just acknowledge that this is what we did, and we're proud of it.
Yes.
Yeah, I would just add that we're not looking at this any differently than we were when we originally approved it, when you originally approved it. And to maybe put a fine point on this, we have not shown any loan repayments as revenues in our budgets. So
But John, it's still money out of the pocket.
True. But it's not money that the budgets were relying upon for covering expenses.
John, that's okay. If you don't want to acknowledge to the public that we did a good thing, don't. But don't camouflage it by saying we can eventually get it if we want. We don't need to make excuses for doing it, John.
I'm trying to make your point.
Oh well, it didn't sound like it.
We're not expecting this money back.
Okay, and I think that once again, it's something that we did at the time. It was the right thing to do. And all I'm saying now is we keep rolling it out. I can't speak for everybody. There's a lot of people a lot younger than I am, but I'm not going to be around in 2055. But it's something that the public should know. We do good things with our money too.
Yep, and that's a good reminder. Thank you.
Is there any further questions, or would someone like to make the motion?
I'll make the motion, Regan Gonzalez.
I will second it.
All right, we've had a motion by Commissioner Regan Gonzalez and second by Commissioner Elliott to authorize a resolution, or to approve a resolution authorizing the execution of a master amendment mortgage promissory note and loan agreement with Aon Seasons Parks, and approve a subordination of the mortgage to the Minnesota Housing Principal Mortgage. Is there any further discussion? Did I see Commissioner Freese Daniels' hand up? Okay, then I guess we'll go ahead and vote. Administrative Assistant Dubois?
Yes, Chair Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Regan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Freese Daniels,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandell.
Aye.
Thank you. We have 5 ayes.
Thank you. And thank you to Aon Seasons Park. We appreciate all that you're doing. The next item is consideration of a request to contribute the cost of the remediation of hazardous materials at 6812 Emerson Lane. All right, Housing Manager Urban.
Chair Supple, members of the commission, back in July of 2019, the HRA approved a contract for private development with Endress Custom Homes for the development of 5 property at 6812 Emerson Lane. Construction on the homes began in earnest in March 2020 after closing on the sale of the property. During recent excavation that was required for the installation of the public road to access these homes, the builder found substantial construction debris embedded in the soil. That had to be removed and backfilled for a total cost of $15,400. These were unexpected costs, and the builder is now requesting reimbursement for that cost. He is requesting reimbursement for the total cost. What staff is recommending based on some of our past actions is to contribute toward half of the cost. In the recent past, just to point out, we have had to deal with this. It is one of the unfun parts of redevelopment is that we uncover things underground, and unfortunately there aren't county or state resources to abate hazardous materials that are found mid-project. You sort of have to figure it out ahead of time, and that just wasn't something that was likely to happen in this case. It was the debris that we can see in an old aerial. We have no idea what the building was or why they chose to just bury it. I think that's kind of what they did back then. But so in the past, we have contributed. In this case, you may remember just last fall, 6310 Irving, they discovered a bunch of asbestos building materials that had been buried on the site. Because that was a affordable development and we did have a resource in our Housing and Redevelopment Fund, we did pay the total cost of about $31,000 towards that remediation. And then also, you may recall a couple of years ago, 6608 17th. This property we'd sold to Interstate Partners for the development of the Plaza 66 Commercial Center. And they also found hazardous contaminants after the fact. And we did contribute up to $30,000. I believe it was about half the cost of that development. So those are a couple of sort of precedents that were set. Just to give you an update on the project, the homes are nearing completion. We just got an email today saying to get ready to inspect on 2 of the homes. Owners want to close. You know, it's been a challenge to develop. As you know, we did a lot of research and background and soul searching about, you know, what was the appropriate development for there, and the costs of building the road and extending utilities were just substantial, much more so than we normally face. Normally our lots were not. So the original estimate for all that work was about $300,000. The builder has spent substantially more than that, and he's really still trying to keep the price of the home in line with what's appropriate for those lots. And so it's been a struggle. And I know in the past you've not wanted to see us put more resources in there. I would say that, you know, in terms of per unit subsidy, it is higher than some of our RR houses. Certainly, it's, if we were to contribute, it'd be closer to 70,000 per unit. We'd like to stay more like 50 to 60,000 per unit for our houses. But again, these were not buildable lots. And so if you look at it that way, really the subsidy is not necessarily unreasonable for getting the lots buildable. So I see that Mr. Endress is, I believe that's his number. He's on the call via phone. He can make his case perhaps for why he really would like to see you contribute to the whole cost. He did have a nice letter. Unfortunately, LaTanya and I were both out on Friday, so it didn't get out to you till today. I don't know if you were able to see that in your email, but it gave some nice background and explained just what happened. And so, yeah, if you want to hear from Mr. Endress, he is on the call. Otherwise, if you have questions for staff, maybe questions for staff first. Happy to answer those.
All right, are there any questions for staff? All right, Commissioner Freeze Daniels.
Thank you. My recollection, and so please let me know if I'm right or wrong, was the 30,000 that we gave was funding that we were going to lose, right? If we didn't spend it. Is that correct? It came out of kind of that bucket?
Well,
it
it's
goes back to, yeah.
Right, it's that housing development fund, that bigger issue of, yeah, we need to, we want to spend it.
Yeah.
And so that, yeah, was available. Unfortunately, that is not a source for this project. That's been one of the challenges all along. A source.
So the money that we would be approving would come out of the general HRA budget, which we use for other things as well.
Right, right. Yeah, we have some lower than expected costs due to things shutting down during COVID. And so there is some money available. You know, and there is some money in the bank account that we don't like to tap when we don't have to. But again, redevelopment, this is one of the unfortunate pieces of redeveloping a fully developed community. Some of these surprises come along and make things challenging.
That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Are there any other questions for staff? Then Mr. Endres, did you want to speak? If you're trying to speak, you're still muted. Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes, we
Can you hear
can.
me now? Were you guys able to read my letter?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, basically we came across that debris field, and we'd caught like the edge of it in one of our trenches for the water and sewer. And so, like I said in the letter there, you know, it's common to find just, you know, blocks and stuff like that in the dirt here when there's demos and stuff like that. You know, you can't always get them and you just find them. So we just started picking them out. And, but then by the time we knew it, we had piles and piles and piles. And, you know, we had to haul out 40 truckloads of all this mixed contaminated soil. You know, we can't take it to a dump or anything unless we get special permits and stuff like that. So it was just easiest to haul it out, and then we can sort it later at our dump site there. But you know, it really did suck to come across that because it's unexpected, and we didn't need to open up our trenches any more than we had to. But finding the trail of debris, we had to track it down because we didn't want that under the road and then have the road to fail, you know? So, you know, I think we did what was right to do and everything. And, you know, so I guess that's just all I'm saying is we did the right thing. And so I'm just looking to see if you guys are able to help out with that because, you know, it really just, it comes right out of our pocket, you know, and it wasn't in our budget at all. And it's a lot of money, so.
Commissioner Sandville?
Mr. Endres, it sounds like you have at least 2 of the houses sold. Are the other 3 sold at this point?
Yeah, all 5 have been sold from the beginning, you know, and so we've had contracts locked in with our buyers from the beginning.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if Mr. Endres, I don't know if you know what staff has recommended. They're suggesting half of the cost would be paid by the city and you would have to eat the other 1/2. Do you have any comments?
Yeah, of course I don't like that suggestion. So, you know, the thing is that we could have uncovered the whole site could have been filled with debris, you know, and then what? You know, it could have cost us $100,000 or something like that, you know, and that's not really fair to do. We did our due diligence. We did soil borings where we needed to, but you can't do enough soil borings to sit and find everything underground, you know. And when this is you know, kind of one of the reasons for like title insurance and stuff like that is just finding weird stuff. But you know, that we just I don't know what to say. It's just it's unfortunate. And we just don't have it in our budget. So.
Are there other questions or comments? All right, thank you, Mr. Endres. I would like to make a motion.
So moved, Regan Gonzalez.
I will second it.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Regan Gonzalez and a second from Commissioner Sandal to authorize the housing and redevelopment attorney to prepare an amendment to the contract for private development with Endress Custom Homes, authorizing the HRA to provide $7,500 for debris removal in the development of the property at 6812 Emerson Lane. Is there any further discussion? Commissioner Breeze Daniels?
Hi, yes. I think Mr. Anderson best. This is unfortunate and unexpected, but it's also expensive for us to be paying for it, right? And when I think about the history of this, we sold this this patch of land here for $1 because we knew it was expensive to build on this site. And as the notes say, it is in the contract that these unexpected things can come up. So I will be voting no on this.
Any other comments? Commissioner Sandal?
I actually would have considered going as high as 10,000. Because I think what he did was going to be valuable long-term for the community and long-term for our tax base. And who expects to find, 40 truckloads of debris to haul out? That certainly wasn't in his plan. I'm certainly going to support the 7,500. I would even consider 10 if two other people agree.
Are there any other comments? All right, we have a motion before us, and if there's no further discussion, Administrative Assistant Dubois, could you please take the roll?
Yes, Chair Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott,
Aye.
Commissioner Regan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Breeze Daniels,
No.
Commissioner Sandal.
Aye.
Okay, we have a 4-1 vote. The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Endress. Moving, we have HRA discussion items. Are there any things that anyone wishes to discuss? Commissioner Sandal?
Thank you, Chair. Just a curiosity question. I've been driving past 66th and Lindale, and that, whatever it was, the site that was on the corner, it was a wooden structure that was built not that long ago, has just come down. What is going to replace it?
Yes, thank you. So the wooden structure, first of all, when the owners of Market Plaza came to us 2 years ago with the desire to put Hennepin County Medical Center in there, they wanted the entire lot to be parking. And we told them we would not support it, that we thought that was overparked. And they said, well, it's parking already. And so our suggestion was, because we did want to see some more development there, a building there, our suggestion was to put a structure there to really keep parking from happening. Cost to that. But again, it was to send the message to the world that this is a development site. It's not a parking lot. And ultimately, Chase Bank purchased that piece of the property, and they will be starting construction on a Chase Bank outlet or a location probably in about a month or two. The Planning Commission and City Council went through a great deal of work with them and their architecture firm on making sure that the building was really easily accessible to pedestrians, because that is a high pedestrian area. So I think it is going to be a nice addition to our downtown area.
Thank you. Appreciate knowing that.
Are there any other comments? I did want to make one announcement. We have a vacancy on our planning commission, and residents of Richfield can apply for that through June 22nd. If you're interested, you can go to our website and go under city government, and then you go to the commissions and boards tab, and towards the bottom, there's a link to apply, and you can go to the adult application. Otherwise, you can contact Executive Analyst Blanca Martinez-Gavinia, and she can give you information about that. And I know I'm going to put Commissioner Vries-Daniels on the spot, but you've been on the Planning Commission. Is there anything you want to add to convince people they should apply for this?
It's a fantastic commission to be on, so everybody should apply. That's one, you get to be on the pulse of like what is happening and be a part of those community conversations around it. As we were just talking about that parking structure, I was on the planning commission then, and I remember the conversation being that was supposed to be temporary, and the long-term vision was to get someone to come in there. So it's nice to see that come to fruition over time as well. So should apply. You don't really need any special skills entirely to do that either. So.
Cool, thank you very much. And again, that's open until June 22nd. And then are there other things, Commissioner Reagan-Gonzalez?
If possible, this is an ask to staff, but as we have some of our redevelopments or the developments that are coming up now being finalized, like the RF 64 and these homes with Enders Construction, I would love to get the possibility to tour them, and kind of as the Novo and all of these keep opening up, I just think it's really helpful. We get to see and walk through. I know I could talk to the developer directly and ask for that, but I'm sure that that would be really beneficial for the council and for the folks who make those type of decisions. So if there's any way to be able to do that, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, we will absolutely do that.
Any other items? I have a question. Executive Director Stark, I know when there was the possibility that the state of emergency was going to end, that the eviction moratorium was going to end. Do you have an update from special session of where we are in the eviction moratorium?
It's our understanding that the governor's emergency declaration continues on, that was extended, and that the eviction moratorium was part of that executive order. And so our belief is that while the executive order continues, that moratorium also continues. So I'm about 95% sure that's the answer, but we will double check that.
John, I just looked up while you were talking, and it did say that it's extended till July 13th. And so the suspension determination remains in place until then. I would point out that some buildings in town are also subject to the federal eviction suspension, and that goes through July 25th. Of the survey that I did of landlords, I can't remember how many did I get back, about 2,500 or 3,000 non-senior buildings, and about 1,000 of those units were subject to that federal moratorium. So some get a couple more weeks. I'm guessing Seasons Park is one of those buildings, but so yes, there's a little more time for tenants, and there also is in the last city manager's report, I don't know if HRA members see that report, but I did report on where VEEP is at and the number of folks who have received rent assistance in order to help them through this time. So, and there's also some county funds now available that people can apply directly to the county for rent assistance.
Thank you for that information, Commissioner Vries-Daniels.
Is there any way to get a pulse in the community about is there anticipation that if that date is the last date, right? Like how much need is there going to be, and what kind of backlog will be there for evictions?
In the survey, again, not everybody responded to the survey, but the numbers of unpaid rents for some buildings, it was 0%, some were 2 to 3. I think it's grown a little bit. The Minnesota Multi-Housing Association serves its members, you know, it finds that affordable units have greater amount of folks, but so we don't know exact numbers. But I mean, I think that with the county money, perhaps, I mean, they've got $15 million available, and granted that's countywide, but hopefully that will help to make a dent as well. But yeah, I mean, I wish we knew an exact number, but the percentage who hadn't paid wasn't as high as I had expected it to be.
Okay.
There's still obviously some needs out there.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or things that we want to discuss? Great. Then we'll move on to the executive director's report.
Just one quick item tonight. I know Julie reported on this at the work session, but that isn't broadcast in the same way. So I would just want Julie to report on our, we did receive a grant approval at the subcommittee level of the Metropolitan Council. Julie, if you could just mention that.
Yeah, so that's for the 6501 Penn, the bumper to bumper site. We got some pre-development livable communities funding recommended by the Community Development Committee today. And our representative, Molly Cummings, said nice things about the project. And yeah, there was actually a lot more applications for this money than they normally see, which I see as a positive in terms of the economy and housing, and the fact that, you know, housing, it wasn't all housing projects, but just that some of those things are proceeding in spite of economic uncertainty. So that was positive. So we'll have $50,000 to do some more planning for that project. And that's always good. I mean, we expect developers to put out a lot of money without getting approvals, you know, knowing if they're going to get approvals. And so it's good to be able to support them. And then also to, you know, we can have greater asks then too with that money. So.
Thank you. Anything else for HRA discussion items? Or excuse me, for the executive director's report? Sorry.
That's it.
All right, then we'll move on to claims. Is there a motion to approve those?
I moved Regan Gonzalez.
Second, Sandal.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Regan Gonzalez and a second from Commissioner Sandal to approve the claims. Any discussion? None. Could we please take the roll?
Yes, Chair Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott,
Aye.
Commissioner Regan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Vrees Daniels,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandel.
Aye.
Thank you. We have 5 ayes.
All right, thank you. So at this point, we've completed all of our business for the HRA and we stand adjourned. And in about 30 seconds, we can start the EDA meeting. Is there anything we need before we get started, Administrative Assistant Dubois?
Nope, we are all set to start it, and we did not have anybody call in for the open forum.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to call to order the Economic Development Authority meeting of June 15th, 2020. It is, let's see, 7:47. And if you could go ahead and do the attendance, please. Thank you.
Yes, President Supple,
Aye, or here.
Commissioner Elliott,
Present.
Commissioner Regan Gonzalez,
Here.
Commissioner Vrees Daniels,
Here.
Commissioner Sandel.
Here.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Sandel, we didn't hear you.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. All members are present.
Thank you. And you had indicated that no one called in for the open forum. So we'll move on to approval of the minutes of the regular EDA meeting of April 20th, 2020.
I move approval.
Second, Elliott.
All right, it's been a motion to approve the minutes by Commissioner Sandal with a second by Commissioner Elliott. Any questions or concerns? Okay. Administrative Assistant Dubois, can you, oh, hold on.
Just the note, it says HRA members present on the note. I just should say EDA, small, very minor.
Thank you for pointing that out. That is important. So are we okay with approving the minutes with those changes for the people that made the motion in the second? That correction? All right, so there was no objection, so we'll take a vote on approving the minutes with those corrections.
President Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott,
Aye.
Commissioner Reagan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Vrees Daniels,
Aye.
and Commissioner Sandal.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have approval of the agenda.
So moved, Commissioner.
I move
Reed.
approval, Sandal. Or second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Regan Gonzalez and a second by Commissioner Sandal to approve the agenda. Any changes? All right, hearing none, we'll take the vote. Administrative Assistant Dubois, go ahead.
President Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott,
Aye.
Commissioner Reagan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Vrees Daniels,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandal.
Aye.
We have 5 ayes. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item of business is consideration of a master amendment to the apartments remodeling program mortgage promissory note and loan agreement with Seasons Park and a subordination of the mortgage. Executive Director Stark.
Thank you, President Supple. This is a very similar item to one that was considered by the HRA in the previous meeting, and I would ask Julie Urban, Housing Manager, to present the staff report.
Sure, President Supple and members of the EDA. Back in 2019, EDA provided an apartment remodeling program loan in the amount of $98,512 to Aeon Seasons Park to help provide security improvements to several buildings located in the Center Court. Aeon, as you now know, is in the process of refinancing their principal mortgage with Minnesota Housing. And a condition that Minnesota Housing is placing on the refinance is that all of the mortgages on the property have the same term as the principal mortgage, which is 35 years. The term of the EDA apartment remodeling loan is just 15 years. So approval of the master amendment would cover the mortgage promissory note and loan agreement and extend the term of this mortgage from 2034 to 2055. In addition, the HRA is being asked to subordinate its mortgage to the principal mortgage. So again, the agreements are kind of in the process of being reviewed by both parties. And so we also would ask that you recognize that the HRA attorney will give final approval to the specific language. So if you have any questions, again, Sarah Harris from Aeon is on the call here. If you have any specific questions for Aeon, or if you have questions for me, I can take those now.
Does anyone have any questions? Ms. Harris, would you like to say something? I should have asked you that at the HRA meeting.
Well, I just want to echo what I said in the chat, which is we really appreciate the early leadership and support from the city in all departments and from all leaders, because it's made this possible. And our goal is to provide affordable homes for people for the long term, and you're helping us to do that. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for staff or for Ms. Harris? All right, is there someone that would like to make the motion then?
Sandal will move approval of the resolution authorizing the execution of a master amendment to the apartment remodeling program mortgage, promissory note, and loan agreement with Aeon Seasons Park, and approve a subordination of the mortgage to the Minnesota Housing principal mortgage.
Second, Regan Gonzalez.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Do we have any questions or discussion? I'm gonna bring up something that Commissioner Elliott brought up in the last one. Because I believe in this one, it does say that it is forgivable. Can we clarify that?
It is a forgivable loan. It seems surprising to me that Minnesota Housing would then care. This not have the same term, but as the issue is that there are some terms under which it would have to be paid back. For example, if there were a sale of the property, and Minnesota Housing's interest is they're putting, I believe it's $40 million into the property, and they don't really want any other resources. They don't want any resources diverted to other loans. That it needs to go to them first. Anne would have the option after 15 years to really come and say, could you forgive this? Now it has been the full 15 years. And if I were still a staff person here, it would be something I would certainly support and assume you would as well. But that's the future. And at this point, we need to do what the underwriters are asking so that they can, get that refinance done.
All right, are there any other comments? All right, well, I just want to say thank you again to Anne and to all the staff and everybody and the leaders that work together to make this happen, because it was, I remember it was really important to the community, and it still is. So thank you so much. All right, so we have a motion and a second, and it doesn't look like we have any further discussion. So Administrative Assistant Dubois, could you please take the roll?
Yes, President Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott,
Aye.
Commissioner Reagan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Vreese Daniels,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandal.
Aye.
We have 5 ayes. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is the EDA discussion items. Does anyone have anything they'd like to say? All right, well then we'll move on to the Executive Director's report.
Thank you, President Supple. And I was thinking, with the nomenclature of President Supple, maybe I should look into being the Chief of Staff in the future rather than the Executive Director.
Hey, whatever works.
I'd be careful. Come and go very upper levels.
We will be sending you a written report on your COVID loan within a few weeks. There are a lot of details to wrap up all the loose strings on these loans, but we are now about 95% done, and so I can report to you my biggest fear when you approved the COVID loan. You approved $150,000. I had 2 fears. One was that we wouldn't be able to get the word out adequately, and we would only have a few applicants. Or my other fear was we would have an overwhelming response, and our $150,000 would just be a drop in the bucket. As it turns out, neither fear was very well founded, because it worked out almost perfectly. We got, I believe, 38 applications, and we are funding 37 of them. It's not a Richfield business. So every Richfield business that applied, we are funding. The total comes to about 145,000. And so again, it just worked out perfectly. This was one of the more rewarding things that I've been involved with in my time here. So much, the most rewarding part to me was reading all the applications and learning about all the businesses here in Richfield that you never think about. So I'm not going to go through all 37 applicants that we funded, but I just want to mention a few of them to you. We did fund all 5 restaurants that applied. The restaurants, for the most part, did max out at the $7,500 maximum. And that was Local Roots, American Pie, Flynn's Cafe, El Tejaban, and Vina. We also are funding a lot of sales of various kinds, whether it's retail, wholesale, or real estate. You know, everywhere from real estate office, but one that I liked here was Iconic Quilling. When we got the application, we thought it was a typo and that it was quilting, but it is quilling. And they do calligraphy, so literally quilling, involved in stationery and greeting cards that then they sell to, you know, gift shops and things like that. It's a two-person business. We also have a leather maker named Carmine Jack that makes leather belts, camera straps, all kinds of things. We have a Western wear business on Penn Avenue. We have the Enchanted Rock Garden. And I can tell you the Enchanted Rock Garden has been around for a while because I remember when my first son was born, I took off some paternity time and I got a little bored. And so I made like a little cactus rock garden. And so I went to Enchanted Rock Garden to get some turquoise to put in there. And he turned 19 over the weekend. So that was obviously 19 years ago that I did that. A lot of, so we had a number of salons and spas, Salon Junello, but also some salons that operate out of people's homes. We had a lot of healthcare and fitness related activities, 2 chiropractors, an acupuncture office, a lot of fitness things from the Core M Taekwondo on Penn Avenue, 2 fitness and dance places. One, again, I love this one, called Stretch and Grow. It's a single person business, and she contracts with schools to come in and give fitness lessons to children. And so she goes by Coach Nikki. Yoga studio. We had Montessori schools. We had pet boarding shops, and we had a lot of people doing as independent contractors. We had painters or people doing tiling. We had a couple of mobile DJ services that do, you know, weddings and those kinds of things. So again, just a wealth of businesses in our community that we can all be proud of. And so I'm thankful to have had the opportunity to spend your money on doing this.
John, can I just add, they were all so appreciative, and the notes and the thank yous we got were a lot. Guys, you know, at least include some of that in the report so you can hear the thank yous as well.
We'll pass along all those notes to you, and we'll also include the information about, you know, we'd asked about minority and women-owned businesses, so we'll pass that along to you as well. A great many of these were minority and women-owned businesses.
Thank you so much for all the work that you all did on that.
Oh, and I can add also that, you know, we report to a larger group in the metro about what we do, and the EDA's program here in Richfield inspired several other communities to do similar programs. And then Hennepin County was so pleased with the work we did. They also have a program called Return to Work, and they have earmarked $150,000 of their money for Richfield businesses. They said, they told us that we could charge an administrative fee if we chose, but that would take away the grant money. It would come out of the same pot. So we told them we'd be happy to administer it, but we waived the administrative fee so that money could instead go to businesses. And that deadline is coming up. I don't remember. Do you remember the deadline for that, Julie?
It's 20 something. If you get all anymore, I can see if I can find it in my email in time.
Commissioner Regan Gonzalez.
Sorry, thank you. I was trying to find that Hennepin County loan online and I couldn't find it. Is that something that you could send us? Because I did talk to a couple of businesses and I asked if they had access to our loan and they said no. So I was excited to try to connect them to that before the deadline ends.
Yeah, we will pass along the web address to get you there, and that should have the deadline included in it.
Can businesses apply for both ours and Hennepin County, or if they've applied for ours, they're not eligible for Hennepin County?
I'm not sure about this current grant. This is actually the second Hennepin County grant that affected Richfield businesses. For the first grant, Hennepin County would award if they received an EDA grant of $2,500 or less. If it was more than $2,500, Hennepin County made the applicant choose which of the two. We did double check with Hennepin County, and I believe there were 3 businesses that received both, 2 of which was under $2,500, and one of which is, I'd mentioned kind of loose strings we're trying to tie up. So one of them, we're trying to work through that number with the county and the applicant.
Thank you. Were we able to find the information?
What I found was a tentative schedule is that they would begin accepting applications June 22nd with a deadline of June 30th. June 30th seems later than I remember her saying, John, so we'll get you the non-tentative, the real deadline.
And it is a work in progress. And I know you've heard this saying before during this COVID time, but it is like building the plane as you're flying it. And that does conclude my report.
And once again, thank you so much for all of your work and all of the creativity and everything that the staff did to help our small businesses. It's truly appreciated. Moving on, we have the claims.
So moved, Regan Gonzalez.
Second, Sandow.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the claims. Just out of curiosity, were a lot of the loans, the EDA loans, listed in the claims? I was looking at that and it looked like it might have been a list of a lot.
I was counting and it came up. There were names in there, Kennedy and Graven, and some information that was maximum was 7,500.
Yeah. Yep, most of those should have been in this current claims and payroll. There will probably be 3 or 4 that will come through next month.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Then we have a motion on the floor to approve the claims. Administrative Assistant Dubois, could you please take the roll?
Yes, President Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott,
Commissioner Elliott, you're muted. He may be having internet issues.
yeah, it looks like he's having some internet issues. Okay, Commissioner Regan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Vrees Daniels,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandow,
Aye.
and Commissioner Elliott. Commissioner Elliott, are you there? Okay, so I think he's left. So we have 4 ayes. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything else anyone would like to add? All right, then we stand adjourned. Thank you all.